Okay, welcome everyone. Good to have everybody as we welcome in. As we learn on this tour through Masechta Shavuos, we learn sponsored by A.B. Spry for the full shalem of Toiba Roisa Bas Hinda and for a great zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. We are also sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for my refuah, Moshe Meir ben Esther Fradel, Shimon ben Sarah Miriam, for his children, Eli, Orit, and Ora. And we're sponsored anonymously for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We are holding on the very bottom, the last three words actually, of Yud Ches Amud Beis, the last three words of Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis, and the Gemara says, Rabbi Akiva said that to be chayiv a carbon oil v'yored, you don't have to know what the source of the tumah was, whether it's a sheretz, whether it's a mace, you don't have to know. The question is, according to Rabbi Akiva, why does it say oy benivlas sheretz tameh? Why isn't it enough to say tameh? That's why Rabbi Eliezer says that you have to know the source, because it specifies you have to know, is it from a sheretz, is it from a mace? So Rabbi Akiva, ID, and now we start the top of Yud Tes Amud Aleph. We're going to finish the parak today and start a new parak. Rabbi Akiva, ID, the Boil Michtav Behema V'chaya, since it had to say Behema V'chaya, even though it says that Behema is Bechlal Chaya, so it didn't really have to write Behema, but it came to tell us, Likid Rebbe uses it on Daf Zayin. Rebbe uses it as a Gzeir Shav. It says Behema Tameya, Behema Tameya, to tell us that Kodesh, it's enough for carbon oil v'yored, and you don't need a carbon kavua. So once it already said Behema B'chaya, Ksiv Nami Sheretz. Now really it didn't have to say Sheretz, but Kiditani Debei Rabbi Yishmael. This is a concept of Rabbi Yishmael, that if something needs to be repeated in the Torah because of some lessons, so it says the whole thing again. And that's what Rabbi Yishmael taught us, called Parsha Shenemra V'Nishnes, a Parsha that was said over and repeated, like Nishnes Ela B'Shvil Davish and Eschadish Ba. It was repeated for some novelty. But once it says the novelty, it says all the cases, even though those cases are not needed to be said again. Now, Rebbe Eliezer, who says that you don't have to know, by a chatas kavua, you don't have to know the specific sin, whether it was chelev or if it was nicer, whether it was a wife or a nida or a sister. You don't have to know whether you were mechal Shabbos or you were mechal Yom Kippur. So then why does it say the word ba? Ba seems to imply that you have to know it. So according to Rebbe Eliezer, why does it say ba? Rebbe Eliezer, hi ba, my oven lay. What does he do with it? Ba comes to exclude prat lemis asek. This excludes where you were preoccupied with something else. Here's our halacha of misasek. If, let's say, I was Barish, we saw you in shul. We miss you.
I'm here.
Oh, you're in shul? Oh, well.
No. Yeah. Well, I my schedule is different. I got home late and I needed to come home and consider while I.
Okay.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Listen, Barish. You have a very good record. Whenever you can, I know you're here, so I'm not giving you a hard time. Just don't let it happen again.
Yeah.
Because, if it happens again, then you should see the hard time I give Gedalia. But again, Berish lives much further than you. Anyway, and hearty appetite. So what's a case of misasek? A case of misasek is, let's say, I thought that a particular plant was detached from the ground, and I just meant to pick it up and put it on my Shabbos table. And at the end, I uprooted it. There, a case where you're going to be chayiv a chatas is either where you forgot that it was Shabbos or you forgot that the malacha was awesome. In this case, neither are true. I didn't forget that it was Shabbos, and I didn't forget that uprooting was awesome. I just didn't know that I was uprooting. In such a case, you're not chayiv, and that's what Ba tells me. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. There's no difference between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. One says that we learn it out from the word tamei, and one says that we learn it out from v'nela mimenu v'tamei, and the other one says that we learn it out from the fact that hasheretz v'nela mimenu. They're saying the same thing. They're just inferring it from different places. So the only difference between them, there's not a halakhic difference, but it's only a difference of what the source is. It's only a question of where we mine from the Torah this lesson. There's no halakhic difference. And the raya is that Rav Sheshes switched the opinions of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. He wasn't careful to say who said what, because there was no halachic difference. As the Gemara says, the Rav Sheshes machlif to Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva. Sometimes he would say over Rabbi Eliezer's opinion as Rabbi Akiva's, and Rabbi Akiva's opinion as Rabbi Eliezer. He wasn't makbid to say who says what. If it's sheretz v'nelem or v'nelem v'tamei, it makes no difference since there's no halachic difference. If there was a halachic difference, then you had to know how it impacts on different places in Shas. Now, Rava asks Rav Nachman, according to the opinions that you're chayiv only for unawareness of tumah, you're not chayiv if you were unaware that it was kachim or unaware that it was hektish. What about if you were unaware of both? Something that happens to Eddie very often. Right? He's unaware, he's blissfully unaware, So he wasn't aware that it was tummy, he wasn't aware that it was kachim, he wasn't aware that he was tummy, and he wasn't aware that it was the mikdash. So Ba'imene Ravim Rav Nachman Helam Zeb Yodumau Amalei. So he says, well, according to Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, you're chayiv where you're unaware that you were tamei, and Eddie was unaware that he was tamei. Amalei Hari Helam Tumah B'Yadai B'Chayiv. But according to Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, they're not chayiv if you were unaware that it was the mikdash, and Adarabah Hari Helam Mikdash B'Yadai Upater. So Amar Rav Ashi will have to see what causes Eddie to go out. Chazinan. Imatuma kaparish. If he goes out in the mikdash because he finds out that he's tamei, then harei helam tuma biyada. The chay. Ima mikdash kaparish. If he goes out because he finds out that it's the mikdash, harei helam mikdash biyada yopater. Says the Gemara, he's only going to go out if it's both. He knows both. If he knows it's the mikdash, he's not going to go out unless he knows that he's tamei. And if he knows that he's tamei, he's not going to go out unless he knows it's the mikdash. Says the Gemara, Amalei Ravina Ravashi Klum Parish Mikdash Elamishum Tuma. he's only going to leave when he finds out the mikdash if he knows that he's tamei. And klum parish metumei, he's only going to go out when he's tamei elam mishum mikdash if he knows that it's the mikdash. So therefore, we don't know. And since you're only chayiv if it's considered a case of helam tuma, but not a case of helam mikdash, elaloi shna, there's no difference. And since we don't know, you're not chayiv a carbon oil of a yared. Tan Rabbana. Shnei shvilin. This is a very interesting case. We need a very good. Candidate. Oh, Barry. This we need a very special candidate. Shnei shvilin. There's two roads. Echad tamei ve'echad tar. One road has a mace, and one road is tar. Now we don't know which road, but we know that there's road A and road B, and we know that there's a corpse by one of the roads, but we don't know which one. So, V'halach Barishan, Barry went on the first road. He went on the first road. He went on the first road. V'loi nichnas. After going on the first road, he didn't enter the temple. B'sheni, if he went on the second road, v'nichnas, and then he went into the temple, so there he was definitely tamei, because he went on one of the roads. And so he was definitely tamei. And then he entered into the mikdash, and he realized, right, chayiv. Halach barishin, if he went on the first road, v'nichnas, then he's a v'shana, he since he might be tamei, he had the water of mechatas with the ashes of the paraduma sprinkled on him, and on the third day and on the seventh day, that's sprinkling once and again. V'tavel, he went to the mikveh. V'achar kach holach b'sheni, then he went on the second road, v'nichnas. So again, he definitely went into the mikdash when he was tamei, either the first time or the second time. So again, chayiv. Reb Shimon paiter. Now, the reason why Reb Shimon was paiter in this case is because each time he didn't have a yediyah for sure in the beginning that he was tamei. Because when he went on the first road, maybe he wasn't tamei. And when he went on the second road, maybe he wasn't tamei. Right? He didn't have a yediyah vaday. Reb Shimon paiter. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda paiter bikulan mishum Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda exempts him even in the first case. Even where Barry went on one road, entered into the mikdash, then in the second road, and entered into the mikdash, right? Excuse me, he went on one road, and then he went on the second road, and then he went into the mikdash. Even there, Reb Shimon ben Yehuda says that Barry is pater. So the Gemara found shocking. If Barry went on the first road, and then he went on the second road, so he became tamei for sure, and then he went into the mikdash, so why would Reb Shimon ben Yehuda say that Reb Shimon says that he's pater from a carbon oil of a yayrei? Asks the Gemara, Bekulan, as we turn to Yud Tes Amid Beis, Bekulan va'afilu b'kamaisa? Even in the first case? Now let's review Barry's shenanigans. There were two roads, one had a mace, we don't know which one. Barry went on the first road, then he went on the second road, and then he entered into the mikdash. So why over there should Reb Shimon Yehuda say Barry is pater? Ramanav Shach, Tamehu, he's surely tamei. Says the Gemara, that's why we needed a very good contestant over here. We needed Barry. This is talent. Barry went on the first road, and then he forgot that he went on the first road. Then he went on the second road, and then he went into the Mikdash. Now, Barry does not have a certain Yediyah B'tchila. Because when he went into the Mikdash, he forgot that he went on the first road. So he never had a Yediyah B'tchila before he forgot. So that's what Rav says. I'm a Rav Achabamayaskinin Kigoyin Shahalach Barishan. He went on the first road. Ubishah Shahalach B'Sheni, when he went on the second road, Shachach Shahalach Barishan. So therefore, then when he went into the Mikdash, he forgot about the whole thing. But even beforehand, he never had a full Yediyah. The Havile Mixas Yediyah. Mixas Yediyah. This is what they're arguing about. Tanakama Savar Amrina Mixas Yediyah Kikol Yediyah. Since he knew he walked on the second road, and maybe the second road was stomach, so that's a Mixas Yediyah. Even though he forgot that he walked on the first road, so he never had a complete Yediyah, that's enough. Rabbi Shimon, and that's Rabbi Shimon Yehuda, according to Rabbi Shimon Savar Amrina Mixas Yediyah Kikol Yediyah. Now, what's with the next case? So here, it's really a practice in imagination to follow in the footsteps of an Adam like Barry. But in this case, Halach Barishan, he went on the first road, V'nichnas, he entered the temple. Now, we don't know if he did anything wrong, because that road might have been tar. But because he's worried that he's tamei, he had mechatas on the third day, v'shana, and then on the seventh day, v'toval. Then chazav v'halach b'sheni, and then he went on the second road, v'nichnas, and he entered into the mikdash again. So the Tanakama says chayiv. Why? Because Mamanav Shachbari went into the mikdash when he was tummy. Either the time he went on the first road and entered the mikdash, or in the time when he went on the second road and entered the mikdash. However, he never had a Yediyah Vadai. Now, the question is, do you need to have a Yediyah Vadai in order to be chayiv a carbon oil of a Yored? Reb Shimon Paiter says the Gemara, V'amai chayiv. What would be the reason of the Tanakama to say that Barry is chayiv? When he went on the first road and then he entered the Mikdash, he didn't have a Yediyah that he was tummy and then forgot, because he might not have been tummy. It might have been a Tardika road. Safek Yediyahu. So Rabbi Yochanan says a Chiddush. Rabbi Yochanan can also Safek Yediyah ki Yediyah. Here, they made that even though he had only a doubtful Yediyah, both the first time and the second time, he doesn't know if he became Tameh, but the possibility of becoming Tameh is enough to be Chayiv him a carbon oil of Yored. That you need a Yediyah B'tchila, even a doubtful Yediyah B'tchila is enough, says Rabbi Yochanan.
So he's going to be Chayiv twice?
What?
First time and the second time then. He'll be Chayiv twice?
No.
Why not?
Because he only became Tameh for sure once.
But it was a suffix. So
that's only a din in Yediyah B'tchila.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, Reish Lakish says, no, that which we say is Chayiv, Hamani Rabbi Yishmael, it's going according to Rabbi Yishmael, who holds that you don't need a Yediyah B'tchila. You don't need to know in the beginning. Says Hamani Rabbi Yishmael, you don't need a Yediyah in the beginning. And therefore, that's why you're Chayiv. Mamanav Shach, he became Tameh, either the first time or the second time. And since he went into the Mikdash Tais, one of them he was Tameh. He never had a Yediyah Vadai. Rabbi Yishmael holds you don't need a Yediyah B'tchila. So, the problem is, and now I think it's time to welcome everybody in. We welcome in Dr. Guy, Saba, Irving Fishbaum, Mo Kushner, Reuven Pollack, Shimon Klein, Menachem Umansky, Dr. Block, Mel Zachter, Yitzi Fuchs, Dov Solkowitz, Eddie Chazan, Dr. Yudel, Yaakov Warman, Michael, Barry Cement, Chaim Lerner, Stephen Kane. A royal welcome to you, Stephen Kane. Welcome to our Chabura. Shalom Fogel, Rabbi Kranz, Shelley Zeitlin, Berish Gesseman, Naftali Jablin, Nachman Chapler, Moshe Lehman, Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, Ilya Shutman, David Helfgott on Kol Aloshin. Here in the shul, we are very wealthy tonight. Gedalia Engel, Avram Rezepkowitz, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram Chavin, and Ruvain Shanet. The Gemara now tells us remember, it was Rabbi Yochanan who said that a Suffolk Yediyah is good enough. Now, here's an interesting shaila. If let's say we need somebody to help us here, Barry. Let's say I just picked him out of a hat. Mamish could have been anybody, So Barry has two pieces of meat. I remember when I used this example, Lieberman and Rabashkin. That store has not been around for a long time. Now it's not Lieberman anymore, but he has two pieces of meat in front of him, one kosher and one chaylev, an isakaris. He eats one of them, and he doesn't know which one. For that, he would be chayiv in Oshim Toli. Be chayiv in Oshim Toli. If he then forgot, and it happened again, he ate one of two pieces, and he's not sure which one, the din is he would be chayiv two Oshim Tolis, because he had a doubt in between. Let's see how this case works. It's a strange case, but it's Barry. V'rami Rabbi Yochanan, don't make such a face. It's Barry. I don't know why Gedalia is making such a face. V'rami Rabbi Yochanan, v'rami Reish Lakish Rabbi Lakish. The Tanya, Ochel Suffolk Chalev. If he ate a doubtful case, we're not sure. Rashi here says it's one piece of meat, but that's shrouded in controversy if it was one piece, because there was an opinion that says if there's no definite issur, there would be no Oshim Tali. So that's what?
Yeah, there wouldn't be an Ashim Tali.
Okay, so that's a shayla. But anyway, so that's why I gave the case of two pieces. So Achal Safek Caleb, V'noida, and it became known to him that such a situation happened. Not that it became known to him which one he ate. It became known to him that he had such a suffix. And then Suffolk Chalev V'noida. Then he had another case of one of two pieces. Rabbi says, Kishem Shemei V'chatas Al Kol Echad Ve'echad. If he ate Chalev, then it became known, and he ate another piece of Chalev, Yedias Mechalkais. Shem Shemei V'chatas Al Kol Echad Ve'echad. Kach Mevi Oshim Toli Al Kol Echad Ve'echad. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, Reb Eliezer, Reb Shimon Amru, Reb Shimon, that in this case he only brings one Oshim Tali. Eina Mevi Ela Oshim Tali Echad. Shenemer, because it says in the pasuk, Al Shigigasa Yasher Shogag. Now it could have just said Al Shigigasa, on the error which he erred. Why does it say Al Shigigasa Yasher Shogag? HaTorah Ripsa Shkogos Harba, that even if there are many mistakes, v'ashim tali echad, there's only one ashim tali. V'amar Reish Lakish tells us that kan shonit Rebbe, over here Rebbe taught Yediyos sveikos mischalkos l'chatois. Yediyos sveikos, if he has in between a doubtful awareness that if there's the possibility of a sin, mischalkos l'chatois, it separates for a chatas. That means as follows. Let's say he had Barry ate one of the two pieces, and then he realized that he ate one of the two pieces. So that's a yedias sveikis. In the middle, he had a doubtful awareness. And then it happened again. And then what happens if he finds out that both pieces of meat that he ate were chaylev? The first time and the second time. Rebbe says he's chayiv two chatas. Because even though in the middle he only had a doubtful awareness, but a doubtful awareness is enough to be chayiv him two separate chatas. So again, v'amrei shlokish, kan shana Rebbe yediyos sveikos mischalkos l'chatois. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Kidshem sheyediyos vadai ba'alma mischalkos l'chatois. Just like if you ate a piece of chaylev, you became aware, and then you ate another piece of chaylev. So just like yediyos vadai is enough to be chayiv you to have two chatois, so in the case of an ashim tali which is brought on a suffix, kach yediyos suffix mischalkos la'ashamas. Now that's a steer with Rabbi Yochanan, because earlier Rabbi Yochanan said that even if Barry went on the first path, entered in the Mikdash, he was toivel, and then went on the second path, so each time there was only a suffix yediyah. But a suffix yediyah is enough to be chayiv him a carbon oil of a yoreh. Over here he says that when it comes to the chatas, having a suffix yediyah in between is not enough. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan isn't so hard to deal with. Bishleim de Rabbi Yochanan loy kasha, because kanos, the only time that a suffix yediyah is enough is only by carbon oil of yared, v'loy b'chalat Torah kulas, but not in the rest of the Torah. Hachahu, it's only over here, because when it says yediyah, it doesn't say the word yediyah. Hachahu deloy ksiva yediyah b'hediyah. That which we say that you need, Barry needs to know that he was tamei before. It doesn't say v'yoda. We only learn it out min v'nelam hu deka'asu. Since it says, and he became unaware, we infer that he had awareness. But maybe partial awareness is good, like Rabbi Yochanan says. But v'loy b'chalat Torah kula asu, but not in by other chatas. Dichsiv oy hoida ilav. He had to know about it. Yediyah mal yosabeinan. So the fact that Barry in the middle only had a doubt, that's not enough to be mischalik. And there you would only be chayiv afterwards. If he found out afterwards that both pieces, the first time and the second time, were chayiv, he would only be chayiv one chatas. So Rabbi Yochanan we could deal with. Elul Reish Lakish, but according to Reish Lakish, why does he have to say that the case of where Barry went on the first road, went into the Mikdash, was toivel, and he went on the second road, and went into the, he has to say, it's talking about, according to Rabbi Shmuel, that you don't need a yediyah betchila. El Reish Lakish ad mukim like Rabbi Shmuel, nukma karebi. Say that it's going according to Rebbe. who says that by a chatas you could be chayiv two chatas with only a suffix yediyah in the middle. So it could be going according to Rebbe, and the fact that Barry had a suffix yediyah because maybe that road was tamei is enough to be chayiv. Says Gemara, you're right. Reish Lakish could have said that it's going according to Rebbe. But Hakamash Malan, the Rebbe Yishmael loy bait yediyah betchila. That's necessary to tell us that Rebbe Yishmael holds that you don't need to have a yediyah in the beginning. In other words, even though Barry didn't have a yediyah because he doesn't know, maybe that road was star, it's enough to be mechayev him. Says the Gemara, well, of course, pshita l'loy bay. Midolay miyatre l'kra. Because he doesn't have a pasuk to tell you need a yediyah betchila. Because he uses v'nelam to tell me that you're chayiv also on being unaware if it's the Mikdash. V'nelam the mechayiv al hel Mikdash, he doesn't have something to infer that it became unknown, that implies that he had to know about it beforehand. Says Gemara, well, I might say that Rabbi Yishmael doesn't have a scriptural source, but maybe he has it b'Kabbalah halachal Moshe Sinai. Ma'adu seima ki leslei mikrai. He doesn't have a scriptural source. Aval Gemara Isla, he has a tradition from his rebbeim that's halachal Moshe Sinai, that you also need a yediyah b'tchila. Kamash Malan, that's not the case.
Can I ask something on this?
Yeah. Time's up. Yeah.
But there should be a little bit of a difference over here. Here we're talking about the two pieces of meat, then there are another two pieces of meat. In other words, what about if it would be the same two pieces of meat? That would be more comparable to the Shnei Shvilim. Would that make a difference?
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't make a difference. It would be chayiv if it happened the second time with a doubtful awareness in between. Hadron alach yediyah satoma, hadron alach yediyah satoma, hadron alach yediyah satoma. Now, Shavuos, and by the way, that means that we're finished with the subject of Tumah. Look how sad Dr. Black is. I'm sorry, Dr. Black. But don't worry, we're coming back to it. 3 times at least. He said Hadron 3 times. Nobody minds an extra 22 and a half years of good life of learning. So it's Hashem. By all of us, many more.
Amen. Am I off the hook, Rabbi Weiss?
You're on the hook and hanging in the air. Now, the mice is like this. And by the way, we're gratified to have 29 Zoomers. We did receive for this week a sponsor for the Shabbos table. Ruvain Shannon is going to sponsor for the Shabbos table. But it's already Tuesday, and we don't have a sponsor for tomorrow night's Chumash shir. So now is the time for someone to text me, someone to call me, someone to email me for the sponsor this week's Bahar B'Chukaisai Chazak 718-916-3100 rmmwsi@aol.com. Now, Shavuos Shtayin Shem Arba. Shavuos are 2 which are 4, which means that Midoraisa, what the source in the Torah is in the future, where Eddie swears that he will eat or he won't eat, which become 4 because it's also oaths of utterance. Eddie will be chayiv if he swears that he ate or if he swears that he didn't eat. So Shavuos Shtayim Shein Arba, as the Mishnah explains, Shavuos She'oichel. Initially, the 2 are where he swears that he will eat, v'shaloi oichel, or he won't eat. But also in the past, she'achalti, that I ate, v'shaloi achalti, that I didn't eat. Now, let's say Eddie swears, shvuah shaloi oichel, he swears that he won't eat, v'achel kosher, and he eats a minuscule amount. Now, you would say, well, he's not going to be chayiv, because a shir achila is a kazayis. Rabbi Kiva says no. Even if he eats a small amount, he's chayiv a karb. Divrei Rabbi Kiva. Amrulai, Rabbi Kiva, so the Chacham said to Rabbi Kiva, Heicha matzina ba'eichel kol shul chayiv, the shir achila is always a kazayis. Shezeh chayiv, that you want to say that he's chayiv if he eats a minuscule amount. Amrulem Rabbi Akiva, v'chi heichon matzina b'daber, or maybe carbon. Where do you find when somebody speaks and does davar she'ein ba ma'isa, and he brings a carbon? Shezeh medaber or maybe carbon. In this case, he speaks and he brings a carbon, so it's an exception already. So he's also chayiv even if he doesn't have a shir kazayis. Now, we will see in the Rishonim that the fact of the matter is that Rabbi Kiva holds that by Nedarim and Shavuos holkon achar loshen b'nei adam, we go bust to the vernacular, and when a person said that I won't eat, he meant that I won't eat at all, and therefore any eating is going to be chayiv. Now, of course, this is clear that the Mishnah holds that if Eddie swears that he's going to eat, it means that he's going to eat. Remember, that if he swears, I will eat, that means that he will eat. Vermini, we learn not that way. If Eddie says, Shvua loy oichelach, I swear that I won't eat from you, he's upset with Barry. I swear that I won't eat from you. Shvua she'oichelach, I swear that which I eat from you. Loy shvua she'loy oichelach, it's not a shvua what I don't eat from you, but it is a shvua what I do eat from you. Michlal lav ata shemein. So here you see that when he says shvua she'oichelach, it means that he won't eat. I'm going to buy no. Normally when Eddie swears that he will eat, it means he will eat. But like kasha kan misarvim boilecha. If Barry was trying to get Eddie to come to him to eat, and Eddie says, I'm not coming to eat, not coming to you to eat, shvua she'oichelach. There, from the context, it means that he's not going to eat. So, kan b'misarvim boilecha, one is where he's pressing him to come to eat. Kan b'she'ein misarvim boilecha, where he's not pressing him. Mas nisan b'she'ein misarvim boilecha, where he's not pressing him to come to eat. So then, shvua she'oichelach means shvua that I will eat. Braisa b'misarvim boilecha, it's talking about where Barry is pressing Eddie to come. V'kama lo yachilna, I'm not going to come. I don't trust your kashrus. V'lo yachilna, I'm not going to come. D'chi ka'am mishtava, when he swears, hachi kamer, shvua shelo yachil. Because what he meant is, what we were talking about, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat. Shvua shelo yachelach, he meant that he's not going to come and eat by him. Rav Ashi says no. Here where it says in the Brisa, it was really Tani Shvua She'i Oichelach, not She'oichelach, She'i Oichelach. I won't eat from you. Says the Gemara, Ihachi Maila Meimer. Mao the same Lishnei de Iskilele, he meant to say She'oichelach, but it came out She'i Oichelach. So what we might think, that Eddie could claim that his tongue just slipped. Kamash Malon, you can't say that. And if he said clearly, Shvua she'i oichelach, that's a shvua that he won't eat, and not that it slipped and he meant she'oichelach. Again, we thank everybody for the late evening, 29 Zoomers. It's really nice. And we found out that Marshall is on vacation. What I want to say, Yitzi, do you know that young man's name that very bravely gave of his liver?
So by Sokol's article, I think I do have his name. Hold on a second.
Yeah, they gave the name. I think it's...
It was put in our chat, which I'm pulling up here. Just a second, please.
What a brave thing to do, to give a piece of his liver to save a girl's life. Shelley, you have it also.
Shalom ben Esther Shana.
What's the first name?
Shalom.
Well, we're certainly going to learn for the recovery of Shalom ben Esther Shana.
Shalom Dov ben Esther.
Shalom Dov ben Esther Shana. You should have a refuah shalema b'seich shachar Yisrael. Again, we're looking for a sponsor for tomorrow night share, 718-916-3100.
What about the recipient? What is the recipient also?
Yes.
Hadad Bas Rina.
Hadar Basrina should have a refuah shalema, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening.